I'm Big Cal and welcome to my world. Today I want to talk about the Nintendo Entertainment System. I grew up with this console back then. I think it's more of a UK thing rather than an American thing. The Americans call it the NES, we call it the NES. Although it seems that way from the people I know in England that if I want to talk about it, they always call it the NES. I don't know, it's just our thing. Yeah, I grew up on this console, absolutely loved it. This is not my original one, unfortunately. Got rid of most of my original consoles back in the day, usually to sell off to buy the newer one. But the NES was definitely one that I remember growing up with. I don't know when I got it, I was probably too young to really remember. So I was only born in '88, and the console came out a few years before that. But yeah, I still remember playing the games for it. Super Mario Brothers, really, or the one that I think most people remember as the standout. Tons of other games when I was a kid, but Mario Brothers definitely stands out as the game for the console. Mainly because growing up, both my parents were working full time to support me and my brother. So after school, they would still be working, so we would go to my granddad's, who were retired early due to a back injury. And since we were there most of the time after school, and then on Saturdays and occasionally Sundays, depending on what my parents were working, we decided to keep the NES at his house, so we would be able to play it while we were there. And what would happen while we were at school is my granddad would play it. He would play Super Mario Brothers, and he was something of an expert of the game. Every day we would come back and he'd completed it again, pretty much every day. He'd found some new shortcut or hidden box and vine to climb up. So it was really fun watching my granddad play it and be really good at it, and me at the time absolutely sucking at it. We had plenty of other games as well. I can't really remember most of them, unfortunately. The ones I do, there was I think the Grand Prix one. I don't know if it was just like standard, just called Grand Prix. I can't really remember. It's weird. I would play it, but I never really played it. I would put it in and I would drive, and you would just seem to go on forever and ever, and it would go to night time while you were playing it, and it just seemed to last forever, and I rarely saw any other cars on it, to overtake or anything. I didn't know what place I was in. I don't recall ever really finishing a race, but I would play it because it was, well, an NES game. Then I would also play, me and my brother were two-player on Monsters in My Pocket. When I was young, I used to collect them. They were little figures about this big, hence Monsters in My Pocket. And I would always remember we'd go to the seaside for a day, the whole family. There was a huge Woolworths store there. A lot of you probably don't know what that is, so they haven't been on the high street for some years, although I think they are making a comeback in certain locations. But anyway, Woolworths, big store, sold just about everything. And every time we go to the seaside, we would get some spending money to buy ourselves something. And I would usually buy this huge big pack, about this big, with like with like a big set of Monsters in My Pocket, and I would collect them and I love them. So playing the game, me and my brother used to play on two-player, sort of like an action platformer type game, incredibly difficult, or at least it was at the time. I don't know if it would be today. It's been a while since I played it. But I always used to hate the fact that he would be player one and always get the first pick, and I think he was always the vampire and I had to be the Frankenstein monster, but I always wanted to be the vampire, but I'd never get to play as the vampire. I hate you, bastard! Yeah, but it was a really, really fun game. That's what I remember playing, and I remember going to my auntie and uncle's. My uncle was a big gamer. He had the Nintendo consoles. He had a lot more games than us. I believe he had Super Mario 2 and 3. I think we had 2, but I don't quite remember. He definitely had 3 and we didn't, so we get to play games like that. And of course, Duck Hunt. What's better than Duck Hunt with the Nintendo Zapper? Love this thing. Obviously these days you can't play it on HD TVs, so I won't be able to add some footage of the game here because I can only record on the HD TV. But I do own a big old CRT TV, the big fat buggers, and this does indeed still work, and I'm rather surprised at how good I am, because as a kid I used to be one of those, you know, point at the screen and do it because I was crap. I believe that was the only game we had for the Zapper back then, but it was really fun still. Everyone remembers Duck Hunt, except for that fucking dog. I hate that dog. Shut up. Yeah, but the Nintendo Entertainment System, as far as the style goes, you know, looking at it, it's just a big clunky box, really. Especially the original version with this, you know, not the top loader, so everything the games would go in. You may notice in here, this is a doorstop, or a wedge, or whatever. The reason is, because the consoles that are old now, just simply putting a game in, see if I can demonstrate it this way, just putting a game in and pushing it down like that, tends not to play. What you have to do is keep it pushed down in a certain position. Each game's kind of different, and that's where this comes in. Put that in, and then just sort of, you know, wedge it down, and it works. When I bought this a few years ago on eBay, I remember taking it all apart. Not very often I do that with consoles, but I took it all apart to give it a good cleaning. There was a spider web in there and a dead spider about this big. Gave it all a clean, and also bought a new 72 pin connector for it for the games. That's helped it tremendously. I also give it a good clean on the inside, you know, as I clean the cartridges when I can. So yeah, very good. I bought this couple of games, came with the Zapper as well, I believe. I've got just the one controller for now. I need to buy another one so I can do some two-player games, but I love the old NES controller. It's simple, it's basic, got your direction pad, start, select, A and B. That's it. And pretty much every single controller for every console since this has been designed off this. You know, it's the standard. You know, the D-pad, you know, at least two buttons: a start button, a select button. You know, start mainly for pause, which wasn't a big feature with video game consoles really before the NES. So another thing that it, you know, helped revolutionise in the gaming industry. You know, the buttons, everything just still feels so great today. I mean, this console is, what, 25 years old at least, probably older, you know, and it still actually works, which is incredible. The controller is still fantastic, so easy, you know, feels good in the hand to use. You know, another reason to love it is that, you know, it's still very playable today. So, I just want to now go through my game collection. It's not particularly big for the NES, mainly because the games I actually want for it tend to be the more expensive ones. So, you know, I can't get hold of all the ones that I want. But for the ones that I have just now, I have, as I mentioned earlier, Monsters in My Pocket. It took me a while to pick this up. Searching on eBay at the time, you were lucky if you found 2 copies of it. And they're usually going for quite a bit. And I ended up with 2 copies. One of these doesn't work, and I cannot for the life of me remember which one it is. I'll record some footage of all the games to show over the video when I'm done, so, you know, I'll finally check and see which one actually works and which one doesn't. But, you know, Monsters in My Pocket, really fun, very difficult platformer game. It was good in 2-player as well, because we were both on the screen at the same time. So, if you like 2-player at the same time games and action platformer style games, you know, definitely look up Monsters in My Pocket. If you can get it cheap, pick it up. One that I recently picked up was California Games, a game that I used to play a lot as a kid as well with my brother. I was pretty crap at it, and I'm still pretty crap at it now actually. But you know, I kind of wanted it for my collection because it was one that I remember playing a lot as a kid, having a lot of fun with. So, California Games. Another one I used to play as a kid as well is The Legend of the Lost City, Digger T-Rock. You know, a classic game for the system, definitely. I think most people will have at least heard of this, and most people have definitely played this. It was kind of, you know, up there with Mario, Duck Hunt, I would say, as sort of the more generic games that people would have. You know, very easy to get hold of. Very easy to get hold of still today. There's tons of copies out there. Get it for very cheap. It's a fun and extremely challenging game, and I still enjoy putting it in and playing it today. Although I've never ever completed it, ever. Again, I'm not really sure why I bought it. It's probably just because it has the Simpsons name on it. It's not a very good game. It's the Simpsons Bart versus the Space Mutants. A platformer. It's extraordinarily difficult. The controls are pretty bad, and the story and the actual gameplay is kind of weird and goofy. Aliens are just changing things to a certain colour, and you have to spray paint them back. I assume that the writers didn't have anything to do with the video game at the time. Or if they did, they were just limited by the technology. Definitely, probably, even ahead of Mario, this might actually be my all-time favourite Nintendo game, for the NES anyway. And it is Kung Fu. Absolutely adore this game. Used to play the crap out of it as a kid, and I still play it today. And I never completed it as a kid, but since I've owned it, I've completed it 4 or 5 times. You know, it's not a very long game, and it can get rather difficult towards the end. It's basically a side scroller where you're just walking along, punching and kicking, and jumping and ducking over enemies. You just walk along the screen one way, enemies will come at you both sides, and then once you get to the end of the screen, there's a boss, you beat him, go up a ladder, and you go across the other way. And there's like 5 different floors, different enemies on each one, until you finally get to the end and beat, I think it's like Mr. X or something stupid, and you save the girl. You know, very basic gameplay, incredibly basic story. Game can be beaten in one sitting, but it is so much fun. I would actually love to see a sort of a HD remake of this now. You know, with essentially the same kind of gameplay, but just, you know, like 2.5D, you know, style HD graphics or something. I don't know, but I'd definitely love to see it. I don't believe it's ever actually been released on the Virtual Console either. I don't know, it might have done for the Wii, but not for the Wii U. It's definitely a game that should show up. But it is pretty popular still, and you can still pick it up for really cheap. One of the most fun games I own. A shooting game, one that uses the Zapper, that I didn't own as a kid, but when I got the NES and the Zapper I decided to look up some games. A few of them, because there aren't that many, some of them are expensive, but I managed to pick up Hogan's Alley for pretty cheap. It's just a basic like shooting gallery style game, but you know, using the Zapper, and it's really fun. And of course the classic Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, double cartridge. I believe when I was younger I had them separately, but these days it really is so cheap to get them as a double cartridge compared to single. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these on eBay. Pick them up for a couple of quid at most. You know, and of course they're both just classic games. Duck Hunt, shooting the ducks, Super Mario Brothers, we all know what that is. And now moving on to some more games. My wrestling collection. Don't believe I owned any of these as a kid. You know, what you're going to do, own them now mainly for my wrestling video game collection. We have WWF WrestleMania. Not very good, to be honest. WWF WrestleMania Challenge. Again, not very good. You know, 8-bit systems, wrestling games, kind of hard to make them, I guess. WWF WrestleMania Steel Cage Challenge. Again, there's not really much difference between either of these wrestling games other than the roster. You know, that's what it is. And Pro Wrestling, potentially the best on the NES, at least, that was released in the PAL region. I know there's the Fire Pro Wrestling series, but you know, Japanese only, I think. Maybe some were released in North America. But over here in Europe, this was pretty much the best we got. And this is Tecmo World Wrestling. Not too bad, not as good as Pro Wrestling, but probably better than the WWF games from what I remember. And I think that is the entire wrestling game collection for the NES that was actually released in the PAL region. If I am wrong about that, please comment and let me know so I can, you know, try and complete my wrestling game collection for just for the PAL region. I know there are some WCW games that came out, but again, only in America, and the Fire Pro Wrestling games, again, only in Japan, possibly in America, but no PAL. And finally, not a game, but it is the only thing that I actually have that is still boxed for my entire collection. I don't own any games boxed, I don't own any manuals for any of them, and it is the official Nintendo NES cleaning kit. If I'm not mistaken, when I bought this, it was actually still sealed, just a couple of years ago. You know, so it's still in perfect condition. Instruction manual. Weird little bits that you use to actually clean it. You put it on one side, cleans one, the other side dries it off, I think. That's how it works, and obviously some spares. And then this thing, what do we do with this? Yeah, this cleans the inside of it. All you need is, the only thing that's missing though is like something to actually clean it with. It gives you all the equipment but not the actual cleaning substance, so I have to use my own. And what I use is essentially surgical spirit. I was looking for ages to find some because over here you know, you're lucky if you find anything called surgical spirit. So I had to look up, you know, what essentially is still surgical spirit but sold over here in the UK, and you know, find out what it's called, and I managed to finally find some. So that's what I use to clean my Nintendo Entertainment System and the games. And like I said, so far the console still works, and all the games still work except for that one game, Monsters in My Pocket, but I do own a working copy as well. So that is just some thoughts and memories about the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. Still love this console, but I really would like to own more games for it. So here are a list of my top 5 most wanted games for the NES, and I will be including a full series of games rather than just doing a top 5 and all 5 being from maybe one series. So number 5 is Kirby's Adventure, the original Kirby game for the NES, but it's so expensive. At number 4, the Mega Man series. I'm only just recently got into the Mega Man series by playing Mega Man 2 on the Wii U Virtual Console. Can't believe I've never played it until now, and it's fantastic, so I'd really love to own the originals on the NES. I can't remember exactly how many came out on the NES. It was at least 4 that I know of. Number 3, the Castlevania series. I want the Castlevania series so bad. 1 and 3 mainly. 2, it gets shit on a lot for certain things, but I still want it for the collection. I definitely want the Castlevania games. I want them. Number 2 is Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3. Now, these are probably the most accessible ones to me because, you know, they're that popular and there were that many out there that I can probably buy both together for around £20 if I, you know, have a good look around. But I've not really bought them yet just because I can still play them on the Super Nintendo with Mario All-Stars. So I still want them for the collection to have all 3 main Mario games for the NES. But until I really find them at a price I'm willing to pay for such, you know, popular games that are so many out there, I probably won't pick them up for a while. And number 1, Contra. I love the Contra series. Love it. Although it's called something like Probotector over here, and instead of killing people you kill robots. But essentially it's still the exact same game, you're just fighting different enemies and it's got a stupid name. So that's all from me today. I hope you enjoyed this little video, just me sort of reminiscing about the NES and talking about some of my games and what games I want in the future. I'll probably do more of these videos in the future as well, based on obviously my other consoles. So until then, I'm Big Cal, thanks for watching.